Hello everyone and welcome back to Greyhammer. We're here with our last section of Australia. It's going to have a lot of animals that are not from Australia, but I hope you'll forgive me because I think it looks really great. And it's got saltwater crocodiles as kind of the connecting point between Southeast Asia and Australia. So there's going to be a lot of speeding up on this one. A lot of these are significantly faster than I'm used to doing them at because it just took a while. Pretty expansive exhibits here, but I think it still gives us enough time to talk about what we need to talk about. So we're kind of creating our area for Southeast Asia in the background there, which I've begun work on, but that's a little bit out because we're going to be doing a full tour of the Australian section. Here I just start building a rock wall and just kind of make a generic rock wall that I can use for this kind of slope here, and then I'm just kind of trying to put in some more rocks to just break up the area. It ends up looking pretty good at the end, so I'm pretty proud of it. So yeah, we're just kind of fitting some of those in, and then we're just going to grab these rocks. We put some mossy ones in there. And then I start doing these, but then I'm not a big fan of how they're colored, so I just kind of change the color on them and just kind of meld those in, so kind of just get that kind of repetitive pattern out of there. I think it works pretty well. And now comes the biggest thing that we're building, or the second biggest thing I should say, but this is my bridge based off of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So that's kind of my first really inspired by a full build is the idea. So I just kind of grab all of this. Definitely was having difficulty here, but so I kind of just figure that out, and then it's going to slow down a little bit when we actually get, right here it's a little bit slower than we were doing because I wanted to show my process of how I built this bridge, which was not hard, but it wasn't easy either. So I just kind of build using these girders and sort of create a circle. I'm sure you can gather that I'm going to cut it in half. We're making kind of a pretty standard type of bridge. So here I am just kind of getting everything to work out just the way that I want it to, and then I take half of it and then rotate it like so, and then I delete that one and just use copy it over. So now we've got sort of these arches kind of working together. We'll just delete different sections, but here we're trying to make it reinforced. There's definitely going to be some work that needs to still be done on it, but I think I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do, because it doesn't seem as supported on the edges, and there's definitely areas the guest can still walk over, so we got to fix that. I am speeding this part up because I don't think you'd want me to see. You want to see me do this along the whole thing. It's pretty repetitive, but we're just adding in these cables. I space them out properly using a 1 meter piece, so they're all 1 meter apart. And so we gotta just put these in, and then we're gonna put in some pieces to make it look really connected. I really think this build works really well here. So then I'm grabbing those trying to remember what they're called, but they're basically just they're cable holders, they're pulleys, and I was trying to figure out what to fill these gaps in. I end up just using smaller girder pieces, but this bridge is only really a minor part of it. It connects the Oceania house to the path that you would get from the dingoes to this area, so it adds a little bit more on that front. But here we are just kind of making it a little bit more supported. I think it will look good at the very end. You'll get to see it in the cinematics. It's the first thing we'll look at. But yeah, I have a few more things to finish up in Oceania or Australia, but besides that, we're pretty much done with Oceania. We just gotta complete, just bring everything together, which we're almost done with. I might just have to do a few little things to keep that bridge making sense. And just a few other walkway things. You'll see a few things in the cinematics that look like I'm working on them, but I'm not completed yet. So here I am just kind of creating these. I'm using this off of a reference picture that I kind of looked at areas that Gharials live in India and just kind of based it on the kind of rocks that we were using. I'm really falling back in love with the faux rocks. I don't use too many of them here, but besides this enclosure, in this enclosure I use a ton of them. But while I've been cleaning things up, I found them very useful, especially that piece that I used. And so here I am kind of creating a viewing area. And so I kind of just space everything out with those. And now I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm spacing everything apart. It's definitely something where the viewing area is for tall people, because there's been a lot of, when I do the cinematics you'll see, also got a lot of work that I need to do on this kind of just general walkway area, because it's not going to be finished by the end of this, but I think it does look pretty good by the end. It's just not perfect. So here's me just kind of putting in some paneling here, kind of using some Indonesian style architecture. And then we put these planks in, so that's pretty self-explanatory. We're just kind of making a walkway like we've done in the past. It's not too crazy. These pieces are a little difficult to work with because they're so the word I'm looking for is uneven. Like they move back and forth, and I decided I wanted to make, well, the whole idea behind here was that there's going to be a restaurant here because we need one for franchise. And then I was trying to figure out exactly how I was going to do the Komodo Dragon exhibit, which I kind of got the idea, I think, from the San Diego Zoo. Only partially got the idea from the San Diego Zoo. But, yeah, just kind of planning out how I'm going to build this enclosure. It ends up shifting quite a bit. I think I was talking to people on stream about what's going to go where. But I won't let y'all know because you'll have to see what the stream you'll have to do it by stream. And so here I am putting some exhibit gates in. Definitely having to rework the enclosure quite a bit. But that is the way that Planet Zoo often goes. And then kind of just getting a staff area in the back here. Definitely always fun to do that. Making sure we got power. And just kind of working this area. I end up not going with the veterinary center because I'll just use the one for the Oceania house, Crikey Corner. And then I'm trying to figure out how to make stairs. First with the East Asian parts, and then I was like, this isn't working, they're not even enough, and so I end up using Twilight. I love the texture on this, or I love the shapes on the painted ones, but unfortunately, I just didn't want to match the color to an unpainted. So here I am just building some stairs. It works out pretty well. As you'll see towards the end, but as always, I mean, it's just finicky stuff to work with. Planet Zoo pathing and covering all that up. But I do make it work pretty well. I do say so myself. If you would, just go ahead, and if you're enjoying this, please like and subscribe. I know you see that notification there, because we are almost to 200 subscribers. We're about, at the time of this recording, we're at 196. It probably will be more by the time that this video goes out, but maybe we're even at 200 by the time this video goes out. I don't know. But I'm really excited about just how this exhibit comes along. I think it's pretty good. I really like the Komodo Dragon exhibit especially, but I think the Crocodiles exhibit is also pretty great, and the Gharials. So we will have saltwater crocodiles, Gharials, and Komodo Dragons in these habitats. And so here I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this restaurant, because we don't really have much room for seating, so I'm trying to figure out exactly where we're going to put seating. Also, this is a place where we're definitely, so we don't create the stairs here, so I'm going to have to move some of the stairs to just make it look nice there, but it will work out pretty well. So here I am just kind of creating the frame for the building that the Komodo Dragons are going to be on. I think it works out pretty well, and yeah, just kind of bring that in line with the restaurant, and then just put these glass pieces in so that guests can see the Komodo Dragons. And I don't really want to show the kitchen area. I don't think it's necessary for this kind of build. So here I'm just kind of making some wooden paneling that I think works pretty well. This build was definitely one of the more complicating things I've built, and it's definitely got the most complicated roof. You're going to see one of the more complicated parts of me building it here. You're not going to see all of it because it took me quite a while to get this figured out, so you're going to kind of see me work towards the end product. So here you can see it just didn't work for me because those beams are just too big. When they connect, they just end uneven, they just don't work out well. So I wanted to use some smaller ones. But I never could get the angle right, so I had to work on doing that not attached to the building itself, because every time I did the angle, they just didn't match up. I don't know why, but they just wouldn't. I kept way more in than I thought I did, but here we are working on the final one. So I finally match it up, put these support beams in, and this is also based off of a reference image of some Indonesian architecture, so we're getting that Indonesian mix in to kind of signify we're entering a new zone. So this is just kind of carefully placing all that in, and here we can start by placing everything on these top beams. So this is a little overhang, and it works pretty well. And so now we're just kind of figuring out how to make it look a little bit more supported, because, well, I mean, we want this to not look like it's going to fall over, so don't you worry, it will look a little bit even more supported in the future. We're just kind of creating these framing struts, and then, yeah, here we go, creating a pillar down that will go into the enclosure, and I'm just trying to figure out exactly what I want the footing to look like. Yeah, so that's what I end up with. And now it's to add sort of plaster roofing to it to make it look a little bit more modern than I would if it was just fully like Indonesian style art. So I wanted to make it look a little bit more modern, because our zoo is pretty modern looking is the idea. So just really wanted to drive that home with this kind of plaster idea, because wood gives you kind of a feel that it's not modern, and so the plaster really gives you the idea that you're looking at a modern piece of architecture. So yeah, and then we just color that our favorite shade of plaster, the kind of yellow green. It's a cream plaster color, but and just kind of putting in loose edges. And so now I'm trying to look at my reference images to see what we should do on these boards, because it's still looking a little looking a little unsupported to me, so I end up building in some more support struts, and it's just really, really finicky to line up everything. Believe it or not, playing at zoos not always the easiest thing to line up things to each other, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So yeah, I added this top beam so that I didn't have to exactly come down on a board, so that kind of helped. And here I'm going to be putting in these boards to just kind of make this look a little bit more enclosed and more like my reference image. Lots of these conservation boards that I just love. I think I colored them to the Twilight pack as well. I end up just leaving that section open. So it works out pretty fine. And of course, selecting things in Planet Zoo is always difficult. But I kind of get that in, and now we got to do the boards up here. And so I just kind of place these along, just bit by bit, just kind of make that area look a little bit more enclosed. And line everything up. And I think we're going to be working on the interior soon. Yeah, so here we're going to just kind of block off all the areas for this in the restaurant, just make it look a little nicer. Put all that paneling in, and now we're adding in the paneling on the bottom, and just kind of making it look a little bit more flush. And this is kind of where people are going to sit towards the top, so we're kind of creating a floor here, which we can use with these panels, which is pretty nice. I do like those pieces, but I think we're going to be using a lot more stone when it comes to other parts of Asia. We'll see, because I do use some stone at the end here, and it's pretty great in my opinion. But yeah, just kind of realized I need a stairwell here, which is kind of crazy that you're going to get a pretty good view of the Komodo Dragons if you actually walked up this way, but guests won't actually walk this way because, well, they'll just magically appear in their seats, and then I believe they magically pop out of them. We do end up having people come up and sit here, so it does work. I was afraid that but it is technically outside of an enclosure, so pretty happy about that. Here I am just kind of framing up this kind of top section. I don't finish this on stream, and I don't think there's any shots in the cinematic, but I just add some booths in here. It's not really anything too complicated. Though these are pretty... I had a lot of trouble with kind of this area. It just... scaling everything was kind of tough. Because these pieces are so big you kind of forget what size everything else is on. Because I think the stream's going to end here in a second, and we'll be on to the next stream. Yeah, next stream here. Because I did stuff off camera. You can kind of see it here. Here I am trying to figure out and realizing, oh, I'm going to need a backstage exhibit area for the Komodo Dragons. We don't have backstage areas for the Gharial or the Saltwater Crocodile. I really don't think they would necessarily need it, because we're in like southern Texas is the idea. So I don't necessarily think that they would need an indoor enclosure, because it's not going to get... They're a very large animal, so they're going to lose heat much slower than like other species. And I believe Gharials are somewhat tolerant of cold just from being from parts of India. And so I wanted to create kind of a stone sort of background there. and I think it works pretty well. We will end up recoloring this. But these kind of frames just kind of make it look like it's supporting the stone a little bit, and then we just kind of blend in the stone with a more brownish texture that is more kind of common in Asian buildings. So yeah, we're almost finished with that, and then we're plaster lining the inside to make it look a little bit more modern on the inside. And making the Komodo Dragons backstage exhibit areas. And then just a lot of work with these plaster pieces, which works fine. The plaster background is not going to be what's on the background at the end. You'll see that in just a little bit, but we're kind of creating plaster floors for the zookeepers areas, and just kind of a backstage area back here. I really had to work really difficultly to kind of trim this down to about 30 minutes, because I feel like those 30-minute videos are kind of the sweet spot of how long people are willing to wait. So I was going to use faux rocks to form the background to make it a little bit more 3D, and I kind of wish I had, but I end up using the cladding pieces. And I think I could have done better on the cladding pieces to just make them look a little bit more textured, and maybe have Komodo Dragons even climb up them, but probably not, because Komodo Dragons don't climb in the game. To my big chagrin, even on like rock ledges and stuff, they're just not built for it, which is unfortunate, but kind of expected. Big Komodo Dragons in the wild don't climb very well, but small ones would. But I thought that this rock ledge up here would be enough for them to go onto, but unfortunately not. There you can kind of see the seating area. And so here I'm just kind of trying to figure out what kind of rock pieces, roughen up the terrain. So yeah, we're working on the habitats now, which obviously is kind of my favorite part. We gotta do the interior of this one because we gotta put the roof on this building, and let me just tell you, the roof on this building is a massive pain. Like, it sucks. So here I'm just kind of putting rocks in to make it all look pretty. I think it works pretty well. Adding a little bit more savanna rocks just to add a bit more texture, because the faux rocks don't have as much texture. And now plants, just kind of looking to try and find plants that will really work with this exhibit. I don't want it to look too lush, because a lot of the areas of the Komodo Islands are pretty dry, so we're using plants with really small leaves, because water evaporates from them less, or like the palms have special adaptations for that as well, but things like olives, these kind of small bushes, grasses, don't lose the water as easily, so we're using that. Yeah, at first I was going to put glass up there, and then I was like, why am I putting glass up there? Nobody's going to see through it. So just kind of put the paneling, and now we're going to create the roof. And let me just tell you, this is by far the most complicated roof that I have ever made, and I hate myself for making it. So yeah, just be aware of that. At first I was going to try and create a perfect circle, but I went crazy on it. And so you're kind of seeing we're getting this flowing roof that's kind of Indonesian style, but plaster as well. So just kind of get that, and then we're going to shift it over to there, and then so we're doing this kind of tri-lobed structure here. And so then we're going to move. If that wasn't enough, I go even more complicated and start waving it around like so, and then just kind of bringing that in piece, and then we're going to, what we end up doing is having two, because at first I was trying to find a way to match up the bottom there, but what I end up doing, gosh, this is a little choppy, I'm sorry, because there was a lot of movement going on. End up adding a second roof to it, so I guess this is something for me to learn. 32 times is a little bit too fast. And I'm trying to figure out how to make the roof look like it's attached. And we end up using these bamboo poles, which I think works pretty well. It's not ideal, I don't think, but I didn't know what else I wanted to use. So, I don't think I'm going to make a roof this complicated, at least for a long time. I just didn't want to do a full flat roof, because I had reference images that were way more complicated. Here I am putting in a door again. Yeah, I think that's 12 times speed is fine, but that 32 times... I'm not going to use that time speed in the future. We'll just have to cut more stuff out. We can do before and afters before I do everything that choppy. I think it maybe works on rocks, but that was way too much. We're nearing the end, so we're just kind of putting habitat pieces in, and it's going to work out pretty well for us. I really enjoy this habitat. I think the Komodo Dragons look great in it. Unfortunately, they can't climb in a lot of the areas that I wanted them to, but that's just kind of the way that things go. I don't know why I'm paused so much here. That's really frustrating to me. And now I know I was on a phone call at this time, and this is looking unprofessional once again. But here we go. I cut out a large part of the phone call, but I guess I didn't get all of it. Here we are, just kind of putting some jetties in here, because I wanted the crocodiles to kind of hang out around the... I wanted them to hang out around the bridge a little bit more because, well, it just made sense to have them do that so that the bridge was a little bit more interesting. Lots of problems with terrain with these animals. They just do not like any difficulty climbing, unfortunately. The Komodo Dragon, I think, is actually pretty decent for a base game animal in like the traversable terrain, but these crocodiles are really sucky on that. I'm trying to figure out what kind of ground cover we're going to use, but I do work it out. But here we go, kind of into the cinematics, and so we're kind of, this is how you would get to the Oceania house from the rest of Australia. There are saltwater crocodiles under there. We'll see some in a little bit, but you can kind of get a view of them. Their kind of terrain over here. You're gonna see one glitch out in a little bit. Yeah, there you go. It kind of looks like that crocodile video that just been coming along recently. So you can kind of get peeks of the Crocodile Cafe from here. People actually do come and get to that area, which is great because it brings some traffic to the Australia section, which has been lacking. This is all going to get fixed over there, as will this side, probably covering up a lot with bamboo. But here we are officially at the Crocodile Cafe, and so you're going to get some views of the Komodo Dragons, the Gharials, and the saltwater crocodiles. This is kind of what the saltwater crocodile habitat looks like in the end. Not too much going on there. That's what the restaurant looks like. I thought about lining the inside, but I ended up not doing so. And then we're going to zoom in on these guys over here, and we'll have some more in-depth shots. And you'll again get some sneak peeks as to, and it won't let me up these stairs. So I was going to go up there, but because they're fake stairs, it was not happy with me. And my keyboard does glitch out every once in a while, so if you see it stutter a little bit, that's why. I need to get a new keyboard. So, yeah, we need to work on this walkway, just making it fit together a little nicer. I will be streaming Saturday at probably 11 a.m. Central Time. And we're just kind of peering over the edge here so you can get a good look at them. So I'll be doing that to kind of clean up a lot of these areas. Which will then go into our grand tour, which will, I don't know how long of a tour it's going to be, but it's going to be pretty good. Here you can kind of get some cinematic shots of the Gharial as it kind of funkily gets onto the jetty. But this is the female. They have already had babies, as along with the Komodo Dragons, which is pretty fun. I do like that. And then here we go with the saltwater crocodile. They do use their water area quite a bit, which is great. Here we're going to get a nice view of where they actually pretty decently procedurally animate onto the land position area. It does make me think that the crocodiles need a remodel, because they look a lot more Play-Doh-y than a lot like the spectacled caiman. The spectacled caiman looks amazing. And then the Komodo Dragon, which is just leaps and bounds above the other two animals in terms of like model quality. Like, it just looks spectacular. Doesn't hurt that Komodo Dragons are my favorite animals, but they just look amazing. But that's going to end it here, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Goodbye.